Hey guys, welcome back to my kitchen. Today we're going to be making some water kefir. So this is something that I recently started making and it has become my favorite summertime drink. It's bubbly, it's fizzy, and it's very refreshing, especially on a hot summer day. So today I want to share with you how I make it as a beginner. So I'm using the Cultures for Health kefir grains, and I will leave those linked in the description box below. So we're going to need a quart jar and some sugar. You can use brown sugar or white sugar, whatever you have. And then we need a fine mesh strainer. And then I'm going to do a second ferment with my water kefir that has already been sitting on my counter for about 24 hours. This just makes a really fizzy drink that is kind of like a soda, but it's a lot healthier for you. So to do the second ferment, we just need some flip-top bottles. These are 16-ounce bottles. You could also get some sparkling grape juice and just use those bottles if you prefer to have like a twist cap instead of a flip top bottle. And then also for the second ferment, we need some grape juice just to give it some flavor. You can drink the water kefir just like it is after it's been fermenting for 24 hours, but it doesn't taste quite as good as it will if you put some grape juice in it. And you can also use any other kind of juice that you want. It's just up to you and your preferences. So to get started, I'm going to put 1/4 cup of sugar into my jar. We're done with this. And then I'm just going to put some hot water into my jar to dissolve all of the sugar. You don't want to add too much because we have to have just lukewarm or room temperature water for our water kefir. Alright, now that the sugar has dissolved, I'm just going to take this to my faucet and fill it the rest of the way with cold water. So you want to check the temperature of your sugar water and make sure that it's room temperature or cooler. You don't want it to be hot or you will kill all of the good bacteria in your water kefir grains. So next I'm going to strain my water kefir from a previous batch. This has been sitting on my counter for about 24 hours, so we are ready for the second ferment. I'm just going to divide it as equally as I can between my two flip-top bottles. And there's always a little bit of water kefir grains left in the jar after I emptied it out. So I just like to take a little bit of this liquid and rinse it out. Like so. And then I'm going to take these water kefir grains and put them into this sugar water that we just made. Now I'm going to cover it with a coffee filter and a ring. You could use cheesecloth, and I have also seen people just put a two-piece lid set on here, or you could even use like a plastic lid, whatever you have. And then I'm going to put this on my counter and leave it for about 12 to 24 hours. It all depends on how warm your house is for how long you leave it sit. If it's colder in the winter, it might take as long as 48 to 72 hours for this to ferment. But it is summertime, so it is warm, and it'll probably take about 12 to 24 hours. So you'll notice that most of the grains are at the bottom. Once it has fermented and it's ready for the second ferment, you'll notice a lot more of the grains are floating around up to the top. Another way to tell if your water kefir has fermented and is ready for the second ferment is if you pick up the jar and you move it slightly, it should have lots of bubbles rising to the top. I'm just going to set this aside, and then we are done with this for now. And then for our second ferment, I'm just going to add 1/2 cup of grape juice to each of my flip-top bottles. And I can see that one is a little bit fuller than the other one, so I'm going to add a little bit into this one. That was 1/2 cup, and then we'll add 1/2 cup to this one as well. I'll just put that in here. I'm just going to put these on my counter beside the water kefir that is in the first stage of fermentation, and I'm going to burp them once a day for 12 to 24 hours just so that the pressure doesn't build up too much so that the jars explode. Once it is fully fermented, I'm going to move these into my refrigerator, and then we are going to wait for them to get cold before we drink them. So I just pulled this one from the fridge. It has been in there for about 12 hours, so it's nice and cold. And then once you do go to open this, you have to be careful that it doesn't just shoot out of the top. The first time I opened a bottle, I didn't realize it had that much pressure, even after it had refrigerated for a while, so I had a really big mess. So I like to just put my hand on the top and put pressure on it while I flip it open. And then just slowly release the pressure until it is no longer trying to run over the sides. So now we have a probiotic rich drink that not only tastes good but is also good for you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next week.